Hey there, thanks for stopping by. My name is Phoenix, and in this video we're going to talk about Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the brand new anime series that just released on Netflix. I'm going to give you my thoughts and initial impressions, and this is coming from the standpoint of someone who doesn't watch anime at all, but is a huge fan of the game Cyberpunk 2077. So if that sounds good to you, then sit down, strap in, and hold on to what you want to keep, because you're about to experience the Phoenix Effect. Alright, to start off this video, I think I want to talk about, well, let me just set the stage, I guess. I mentioned it earlier in the intro. This initial thoughts and impressions video is coming from someone who doesn't watch anime at all. Like, I've seen clips here or there, that kind of thing. Like, I know of anime, but I've never sat down and watched an episode of something start to finish. So this Cyberpunk Edgerunners is going to be my first really entry into the anime kind of style of art and storytelling. And I guess to add another footnote to this is that I'm a huge fan of Cyberpunk 2077 and CD Projekt Red in general. I love The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, and Cyberpunk the same way. There's kind of mixed reactions about the release of Cyberpunk. They kind of fumbled the ball there a little bit, especially with the last generation of consoles and just performance. But that's kind of my background. I just played it the other day after watching the first episode of Edgerunners, and I have a little over 100 hours clocked into Cyberpunk 2077 at this point. So that's my background as I get into this discussion here, just so you're kind of aware of, I guess, my bias and where I'm coming from. I'll try to keep this pretty spoiler-free or light spoilers just for the first episode. I've only watched the first episode. This is a 10-part series in total, and they're all about 24 minutes long. I've just watched the first episode. I'll keep the spoilers to a minimum, but I want to talk about some of the specifics of it, and just to give you my initial thoughts and where I'm coming from. So the story, I guess, starts out, you're following this teenage kid, and he's kind of a street kid. He's an underdog. He's got a mother, basically a single parent household. He lives with his mom, who's working as an EMT or something. They're struggling to make ends meet and pay their rent. And this kid, whose name is David, and you're following him, and his mom calls him D, which I think is funny because it's kind of like a play off the main character in Cyberpunk 2077 is named V, so this guy's named D, short for David. You know what? What D is short for? Yeah, it's short for David. I just said that. Weren't you listening? No, it's not short for David. It's short for D's nuts. Ha! Daddy! Oh, really? Seriously? We're gonna do this? I apologize, everyone. I shouldn't have let him on camera. But bad jokes aside, I guess this main character is named David. And so you're following him. He's kind of like a fish out of water. He's going to this Arasaka Academy school with all these corpo kids, and he doesn't really fit in. And they're picking on him, bullying him. So you kind of feel for this character right away just because of his circumstances, I guess. And so you kind of follow him through his daily routine and see that he's getting bullied, and he's got kind of a rough home life, and his mom's struggling to make ends meet. And then they get tangled up in a gang shootout in Night City. I mean, Night City in itself is like a character in this game. The Cyberpunk 2077 game and the show here. I've spent tons of time just walking around Night City in the game and just taking photos and just soaking it all in. It's such a cool atmosphere. I really like the aesthetics of it, and just the feel you get by walking around. And I get that same sort of sense when I'm watching the show. So I immediately pulled into this show because I've got so much of a relationship and a fondness for Night City. But anyway, they're driving around and they get in this crossfire between some gang shootouts, the Animals, I believe it is. And they get into a car crash and trauma team shows up and Of course, in Trauma Team fashion, they don't want to help anybody that's not a policy holder. So if you don't have a policy with them, they just kind of leave you there, fend for yourself, and let the city meat wagon come by and take care of you. But that's kind of where it starts. So they get into a rough shape there. You know, they're in the hospital. I don't want to spoil too much here, but you know, the kid keeps going to school and getting picked on. And eventually, you know, one of the jerks in class kind of corners him in an alley with some of his buddies, and they beat him up, and he's in rough shape. And then he gets some unexpected news from the hospital, so he's dealing with all that, and you know, he's trying to get back into his apartment to just kind of like get back to home base and try to figure out what to do with his life that's kind of spiraling out of control. And he can't even get into his apartment. It's locked because rent's past due, so the poor kid has to like break in through a vent in the bathroom, which I need to go check in the... Oh, another thing, the apartment that David lives in, and his mom is like the exact same apartment that you start off with in Cyberpunk 2077. So I think that's a really cool touch too, but I need to go in there and check if this vent that D crawls out of to get in and out of his apartment is in the game. I'm assuming it is, but there's so many cool little like tie-ins that makes me want to play the game more, which I really love, and just to see kind of where the similarities are. And it seems like it's almost like a one-for-one, like they don't deviate too far from the game. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. So basically, he gets back to his apartment. He's got some cybernetics that he came across. I don't really recall where he got them, if they were from his mom, since she's like an EMT, if she picked them up somehow, or if it's something he got. But if you know, leave the answer down in the comment below. I missed that part, but he's trying to figure out what to do. He's trying to sell these implants. He's thinking maybe to make some money to pay for hospital stuff and pay for his rent. Well, the Ripper Doc that he calls is kind of screwing him over, I guess, on the money part of it. Offered him like 10,000 eddies, I think, one day, and then when he called him back the next day thinking about selling, he offered him like 6. So he got mad, hung up on him, and you know, he's kind of sitting there going out of control, just spiraling downward, doesn't know what to do. And the first episode kind of ends where he busts open the door into the Ripper Doc, and this is after getting beat up and stuff, and he's got these implants in a bag, and the Ripper Doc's like, "Oh, you're here to sell these, huh? Finally came to your senses, no one's gonna give you more money." And he's like, I don't want to... The ending line of this episode is so damn good, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but he basically says, "I'm not here to sell it. I want these installed in me ASAP." That's kind of how it leaves it. And then boom, and credits start, and it's just amazing way to end the first episode. It's basically like him saying he's going to start cybernetically modifying himself, chrome up as they call it, in Night City, and he's going to try to deal with his problems that way. So we'll see where this, I guess, series goes, but I think the first episode is off to an amazing start, and I can't wait to watch more and play the game more. The art style, I guess I want to touch on quick. Like I said, I'm not a huge anime fan, so I don't have a lot to compare it to. But from what I see, I mean, it looks good. It looks similar to other animes I've seen, you know, clips of or whatever. I mean, it's cool stylized. Like they said, the Night City is very well portrayed in the game. Or in the show, rather. I mean, a lot of the spots you see in the game, you see in the show, and the art style carries really well from one to the other to represent it. And just like signage and the train and the streets, like the crosswalks and stuff where they'll flash red or green, like walk or don't walk, like that type of stuff is in there. I mean, there's just so many references, I can't even begin to name them all. But they definitely leaned on the game a lot for a baseline inspiration. So, I mean, I think the art style is great. I like it. The animation of it seems cool, and just the overall feel. And it's very colorful visually, which I like. You know, it pops. It's kind of got the cyberpunk look, so it's kind of dark and gritty, but then it's got a lot of neon and pop to it with different colors and things that bounce around. So I think the art style is good. Music and sound. The music, there's some tracks in there that are definitely pretty good. The sound effects are really cool. There's so many game tie-ins there too. Like when he gets a holo call, there's like the UI elements that pop up in the game pop up on the show too. So you're seeing these elements pop up in the little boing, 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 like the same sound that happens in the game shows up in the show. And I thought all that kind of stuff is cool. I mean, even the intro to the show, the first, like the opening credits, comes up in the same text that like the Cyberpunk 2077 splash screen show when you boot up the game. So there's so many things like that that are just amazing. And I touched on V's apartment, well, D's apartment in this case are basically the same thing. The trauma team is in there, like the NCPD is in there with their little holographic crime scene tapes. That is so cool how it just like scrolls by to tape off a crime scene. If you play the game, there's like these huge holographic fish that float around in this market area. I mean, they reference that in the show. That's in there. There's just so many awesome game references that, I mean, if you've played the game at all, you're going to pick up on right away. And that draws me into the show too, just to try to pick out what I recognize from the game that's in the show. And I mean, that's just one other benefit other than, you know, the characters. I think David's immediately kind of likable and you kind of root for him. He's the underdog. So that's really cool. It's just such a great way to expand the Cyberpunk universe. And I wish more games would do this. But I mean, hats off to the creators of this anime series and CD Projekt Red for like coordinating all this, because I think it's really going to end up helping the game in the long run, because I know it's made me want to play more. And you know, you might be in the same situation too, where you feel like you want to play this now because, well, there's tie-ins too I didn't mention yet, but like there's clothing and weapons and stuff in the game, or excuse me, in the show that now have been added to the game recently with patch 1.6. They're calling it the Edgerunner update. So now, like, I see all this cool stuff in the show that I like, and now I can go try to find it in the game and use it on my character there. And it's such a cool experience and an awesome way to tie the two together and just expand the Cyberpunk universe. And I'm excited for the DLC next year, Phantom Liberty, that's coming out. They got Keanu Reeves coming back to do some more voice work. So definitely be checking that out. I can't wait to see what else CD Projekt Red has in store for the Cyberpunk universe. I'm definitely going to finish this Edgerunners series on Netflix, and we'll see where they leave it, I guess. I haven't heard if there's plans to do any more or anything like that, but I'm excited for what's out there right now. Let me know, I guess, in the comments down below if you plan on checking it out, if you've watched Edgerunners at all. And let me know if you've played the game too, because I kind of want to know how that correlates. Because I know me having played the game helps me immediately like the anime right out of the gate. So I definitely think there's a bias there because I've had such a good time with the game. And I just love anything else, you know, in this universe. So let me know in the comments down below some feedback. You know, if you could also rate the video, thumbs up or thumbs down. Just let me know your thoughts and feedback if you can. It helps get my video out there and share it with other people so we can have some more discussions in the comments section down below. Ask me any questions you might have about me or my channel if you're new here. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I'd love to see you back here. So until next time, enjoy those video games.